Hello there, this is Beezer on Toast, and you're watching my top 10 tips for surviving in the Bumblezone dimension. This guide is for 1.18.2 fabric version of the Bumblezone mod, so any changes between versions are not going to be covered in this video. Let's get right into it. Tip number 1, how do we get into the Bumblezone? Well, that one's easy. All you need is an ender pearl, and you'll throw the ender pearl into the bee nest, and that's going to take you into the Bumblezone. Now let's check out the other method using a piston. The piston method is also very simple and repeatable if you don't have a lot of ender pearls. Here we're just going to place a piston or a sticky piston so that if it's powered, it's going to push any entities into the block. And that's right, this doesn't just work for players, it also works for other entities as well. So when I right click, that's going to push me into the block. As you can see there, I got pushed over. So make sure you're also placing blocks on top of the bee nest to stop that from happening. And here you can see I'm in the Bumblezone again. Tip number 2. Well, you got in, but how do you get out? Answer is easy. There are, again, 2 ways. The first way is you can fall through the floor of the dimension. This isn't going to kill you. It's just going to take you right back to where you started. Now, trying this again, when we enter the dimension, we can also get out through the roof. So let's go find a way out. It's a very tall dimension, so make sure you bring blocks, otherwise you may never reach the roof. The Bumblezone doesn't have bedrock to show you where the world boundaries are. Instead, it has beehive beeswax, and if you punch through, you'll be able to get to the roof of the Bumblezone, and if you fly up, that will take you back to the dimension you came from. Very easy. Now let's go check out some of the things within the dimension and ways that you can deal with them. Tip number 3, be careful of what blocks you break because you might trigger Wrath of the Hive. If I break any honeycomb blocks, all the bees in the dimension are going to get aggroed on me. For this one, I'm going to need to be in survival mode, and if I break any honey blocks or related blocks, all the bees are going to get aggroed on me with this Wrath of the Hive effect. Here I'm going to quickly change back into creative so I don't get killed. Gotta go faster than that. As you can see, all the bees are now angry. They will also be buffed with strength and absorption, so they will be quite tough, which leads me on to tip 4. Bring a Bane of Arthropods weapon. Bane of Arthropods is very effective against spiders and bees, which are the most common mobs found in the Bumblezone. Bane of Arthropods 2 on a diamond sword will one-shot a bee, whereas to one-shot with sharpness, you will need sharpness 5. Bows are also really effective. With a par 1 bow, you'll be able to one-shot any bee. That is without the Wrath of the Hive effect on, so let's trigger that and see how those work then. Wrath of the Hive is now on, so let's see how effective our sharpness 5 is. It now only does 3 hearts, whereas our Bane of Arthropods sword does 2. So they really are a lot stronger with Wrath of the Hive on, and our bow will still kill the bees. Let's just find one we haven't damaged yet. Here we go, let's see. Now we're only doing 3 hearts as well. So make sure to enchant your gear appropriately. Tip number 5. You can easily get out of the Wrath of the Hive, even preventing it, by using very common items found in the Bumblezone, such as honey buckets, bee bread, and honey bottles. What we're going to do is go up to a bee. Obviously you won't be flying in creative, but if you can, right click the bee with your honey bottle. You can see that's given hearts. You now will have 1 minute 20 of protection of the Hive 3. This will allow you to mine any kinds of honey blocks. It will also break you out of Wrath of the Hive if you're in it. Tip number 6. Behemoths are your friend. Especially if you don't have a Lytra, although I wouldn't come in here in the early game before you've got a Lytra. Behemoths are a great mountable mob that will allow you to fly through this dimension, if you can catch them. Here, if we get the honey bucket, the Behemoth will come up to us. Right click, he'll show you hearts, and then right click with the saddle, and we can now ride this mob. At first, he's going to be very slow. We can steer by looking with the mouse, and we can fly up by pressing the spacebar. I haven't quite worked out if there's a key to go down, but if you look down, he will fly downwards as well. So very easy to fly. And if you want him to speed up, you can use the bee bread to give him a bit of a speed boost. You'll know it's worked whenever you see the advancement the first time. And now he will be super fast flying around compared to without the bee bread. I really love this mob. He's so fantastic. Make sure you don't damage your Behemoth, otherwise he will eventually not let you ride him anymore. If you want to make friends with him again, just feed him more honey. He loves honey. Tip number 7. Bring a Lytra and lots of rockets. This dimension is huge and has lots of very open spaces which are perfect for flying around. But if you need to recover items having died, or if you just want to explore quickly, the best way to get around this dimension by far is by flying. Tip number 8, and I feel like I'm in Takeshi's castle here. Beware the Honeycomb Maze. These places are full of great loot, including the bee armor you saw me wearing at the start of the episode. But in here, you will immediately trigger the Wrath of the Hive if you are in survival mode. Here we go, I'll switch into survival. You can see I've triggered Wrath of the Hive, and a billion bees are going to come and get me. Let's quickly get into creative, so I don't have to fly all the way back here. Tip number 9. Water buckets are your friend. There are so many sticky things in this dimension, and a water bucket will clean those right off, including the honey web and the piles of pollen that you'll find yourself getting stuck in. In fact, the water bucket will allow you to completely clean off any of the pollen piles that you find in this dimension. Very useful. As well as that, if you find these impenetrable walls which you can't mine through, just right-clicking with the water bucket will remove those and allow you to navigate the Honeycomb Maze. Tip number 10. As I find out very frequently, I come into these new dimensions very unprepared, so make sure you're well geared up with armor, enchantments, potions, and even milk to clear any of the negative enchantments that you're going to get within the Bumblezone. I'd recommend on your hotbar that you always keep some honey bottles to feed the bees so that you can get them off your back in the event of some combat. And also milk so you can drink it and clear any poison effects. Whew. Always a stressful situation. Down to half a heart. Well, there you have it, folks. Those are my top 10 tips for helping you survive within the Bumblezone in Minecraft 1.18.2 Fabric. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this from me in the future, why not subscribe? That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching again. Have yourselves a great day. Goodbye.